All right. We're live.
Look who we got, everybody. The Predator, the one and only Patrick Côté in the studio today.
We'll be right back right after this break. Welcome to the Me and Jesse podcast.
Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavelich and Jesse Martineau. Get ready.
Welcome back to the Me and Jesse podcast, everybody. My name is Mark Pavelich, my co-host, and the one and only Jesse Martineau. And with us today, everybody, 23-time veteran of the UFC, actor, speaker, family man, all of the above, the one and only Patrick Côté, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome to the show. How you doing tonight?
I'm pretty good, thanks, man.
You know, it's actually really exciting. You were the very first pay-per-view I paid for personally when you fought Anderson Silva, and I mean, it was a tough fight because your knee that one. But
do you want your money back? That's why
people I was with is like, don't.
That's why.
I know someone I was with had never watched an MMA fight before. They're like, did they tape him up and he comes back? I'm like, no, that's how it ends.
How does that happen, Patrick? How does a kid from Rimouski, Quebec, do what you did in life? Have you ever stopped to think about that for 1 second? Like, you know, you went and fought in the UFC, 4 days, 3 days, maybe 2 days notice against Tito Ortiz, only after having 5 fights.
Yeah.
And I think about that sometimes. I'm like, you're from Rimouski, Quebec. Like you're just a kid, man. Like, and then you've done all these things. You had a huge career in the UFC. You did acting. You have a beautiful family. Do you ever stop to think ever and go, how did I get here?
Yeah, a lot of time. It's almost every day. I can believe that the life I have today, and every time I do the speaking, in front of people. I'm telling you, it's about resilience and motivation. I'll always take my story as an example. I'm from Rimouski, Quebec, but it's worse than that. I'm from a small village from Rimouski, Quebec. It's, you go to Rimouski, you turn right. When you're lost, you're very close to arrive at my village. So, but man, I love my village. I'm very proud that I'm from there. And every time I have the chance to talk about where I'm from, I do it.
Yeah,
that's awesome too, because I mean, I think that's success story. So you said you actually go and speak and tell your story. What are some of the things that you speak at? Where do you like to speak the most?
About resilience, about luck doesn't exist, opportunities exist. You take the opportunity, you create your luck. So it's always I say the same thing all the time. We said that the lottery, if you win the jackpot, people is gonna, he's lucky. Yeah, but you bought a ticket,
right?
So you create a chance.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You create the opportunity to win the jackpot, and most of the time, 90% of the people who are complaining about people who win at the lottery, they don't have any tickets. So create something to get lucky.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, actually, because Mark and I totally believe that too. You have to actually put some sort of effort in to receive something. I mean, again, you take it for granted when there's no cost. Think about the kid that gets given a really fancy car when he never had to work a day in his life. How do they treat that thing? You're going to respect it so much more when you put something of value into it.
And you know what? We talk to each other tonight, because October 22nd, 2004, I took that opportunity. I said yes to fight Tito Ortiz. That was a crazy decision. That was a kind of stupid almost. But I was young, I was naive. But I have everything today. I live the life I have today because of that one decision I took in my life.
Wow.
That's incredible.
But Pat, do you think in your head that at one point they must have called, because you were from Rimouski, Quebec, you were only 5-0. Do you think they asked so many people before and they said no? Because
for sure,
because they said no, because at that time Tito was Tito. Like it wasn't Tito. It wasn't Tito you see now. It was Tito digging the grave. Tito. That's who you were fighting.
Listen, he was on my screensaver, so that's the thing. Every morning I was opening my computer, he was there, and 4 days after, he was in front of me in the octagon. The thing is, I was already supposed to fight Marvin Eastman on that card, the first fight of the prelim. But you're right, I was the last choice to replace Guy Mesler. They asked to.
It had to be. It had to be, Pat. It had to be. But they didn't take it. Everybody said no. They said no way I'm fighting that guy. And then all of a sudden they call you and you go, yeah. Was it yes right away, or was it? Did you think about it, or was it right away?
I didn't think a lot. We were already close to leave to live for Atlantic City. That was there. The fight was there, and my coach and I were like, "What would you do?" He said, "Hey, he can't hurt you. We go. Let's go. You have one chance, one opportunity to get in the biggest organization in the world, back the big door. So you take it, man." And anyway, I didn't have any pressure on my shoulder. I wasn't supposed to be there. And the best thing happened to me in my life, in my career, that was losing a fight. That was losing that fight by decision. I wasn't supposed to be there. I wasn't supposed to pass the first round. No. I was supposed to get destroyed. Okay, I received 300 elbows in my face, but but at the end, I was still on my feet.
But you dropped him. You dropped him in the fight too, though.
Yeah, but you know, that's okay that he get up, because can you imagine that, Mark and Jesse? Imagine that. Okay, I beat Tito Ortiz in 2004. Okay, right in Canada at light heavyweight, I was okay to fight. I wasn't big, but I was okay. Great. And then international, I was a really small light heavyweight. I wasn't in the right. First of all, I wasn't in the right weight class to fight international, to fight in the UFC.
Correct.
And at that time, if I knocked Tito out in the first round, after that, there, Vitor Belfort, Chuck Liddell, or Randy Couture, I'm fucked. Seriously, I'm in big trouble. So, like
That's
I said, always say the same thing. Losing the fight like that, it's the best thing that happened to me.
But okay, we'll explain what happened after that then, because obviously everyone's like, "Wow, this guy took this fight. He went the distance." And so you gain a ton of respect. What happens next? What does the UFC say to you?
I always had a good relationship with the UFC because I saved their ass, that show. And you know what? The communication was always good with Joe Silva at that time, and Lorenzo, and that was really cool. And after that, and Tito Ortiz told me at the end of the fight, he shook my hand. He said, "Listen, you have a heart big like that, but you are in the wrong weight class." I said, "But yeah, you think?" He's like, "For sure."
Yeah. He was so much bigger, right? He really was. Oh, he was huge.
And he's a big light heavyweight too. So, and with me, with him in the octagon, he was 10 times bigger. So after that, I dropped at 185. And I had a nice run. It took me a long time to get my first win, but when I got my first win, I got a nice run to the title fight.
That's right.
Yeah. Man. It's crazy the decisions we make in our life and how they pan out years later, and you don't know at the time. Like you're like, okay, and how much it can affect and change things. So okay, let's jump off of fighting for a minute. Let's talk about your acting career.
Yeah.
So what happens with that? Like, is that something that you wanted to do back in high school, or is that something that is like after the fact? Hey, I can act.
First of all, nobody can act. You have to learn how to act.
Yeah,
okay?
That's a good point.
So
it's
true.
a job.
It's so true.
It's so hard seriously, I didn't expect that would be that hard. It's very, very hard. You have, I'm taking workshop almost every week. I went back to school to learn that job. It's very, very hard. And I'm doing commentary on the for the UFC since 15 years. The camera, I'm not shy. The camera doesn't scare me, but it's totally different. And when I was fighting, I did a couple cameo in couple TV series in French and stuff like that, and I'm pretty good to play myself. You know what I mean? So it's
that's easy. Yeah.
So, but it's like a new passion for me. So right now I have a really good manager who's taking care of me about my life in the media and in acting and acting mode, acting life, and I like that. And I already have three gig in three big TV series here in Montreal in French. I'm gonna shoot a movie at the end of summer too, and we are talking about a bigger role in
Awesome.
in a series later, maybe in next winter.
Oh, that's really cool.
Fantastic,
That's
fantastic.
awesome. And are those?
But it comes from that though, doesn't it? Does it martial arts, mixed martial arts, martial artist is the artist mentality, right? So you all you're doing is shifting, like you said, when you're commentating for the UFC, that's something But then they say, "Oh, Patrick, we need you to play this character." That's something you don't know, right? So this, but can you take your martial arts background and bring it to acting, the mentality to become a better actor?
Yes, that's my mentality. You know what? People laugh when I say that, but if I was in the US, I will say that right now I'm shooting for an Oscar. That's why I'm doing that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was when I was fighting for the UFC. I wasn't fighting to be the second one. I was fighting to get the belt. And that's the same thing that in everything I do in my life, I do 100% or I don't do it. Because I will be disappointed if I do that only half.
In yourself. In myself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can totally relate with that too. If you leave, it's the old hockey analogy. You don't want to leave. You leave it all on the ice.
Yeah.
Speaking of ice, how's the Montreal Canadiens?
Good.
How do they win, Pat? How do they win? How do they beat Vegas? And how do they get to the Stanley Cup?
I said Montreal in 6, and here in Quebec, June 24th, it's a big day. It's La Saint Jean.
Oh, Saint Jean Baptiste, right?
Saint Jean Baptiste.
Yeah.
And if Habs win in 6, it's gonna be at Saint Jean Baptiste. It's gonna be a fucking hell. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. But I think now it's not about skills now.
I agree.
Montreal Canadiens has the momentum now. They were not supposed to be there, and now they start to believe that they can win the cup. Not just Vegas, they can win the Stanley Cup. They are there. They are 8 wins away from the Stanley Cup. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's that momentum, but it's also the meshing and the gelling of the team itself because they believe in each other now.
Yeah, they believe in each other, and there's no except Carey Price. There's no big star on the ice.
Yeah.
No.
There's no Sidney Crosby, Ovechkin, or Matthews, or there's not nobody. But they
don't have the superstar
together.
Other than Price. It's absolutely true. But
and Price can score.
That's right.
That's the only thing he can't do because hey,
he's doing everything else.
We can remember what literally in the mid-season they were talking like he was done.
Yeah.
People were talking about Carey Price like he was done.
People have shit on Carey Price for years.
For years, right? And then someone forgot to tell Carey Price that he was done because when he came back, but you got to think in his head, he's just like you, Patrick. He's just like all athletes. Keep telling him he's shit. Keep telling him he's no good anymore. Keep telling him. And trust me, he reads the tweets. He reads the Instagram posts. And that's the kind of stuff that gets in his mind. And that's that's how he's playing today.
And here playing hockey in Montreal, it's not easy, man. It's not easy. People are gonna say, "Yeah, they're millionaires. They don't care."
No,
it's not easy. I remember one of my friends. It's Patrice Brisebois. He was a defenseman
Yeah.
for the Habs, and there's a certain part of his career, people hate him here,
Yeah.
and he was walking on the street in downtown. People were spitting on him. I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? What the hell? It's crazy here.
Crazy.
Man.
I was at a party once when I lived back east in Montreal, and we were at a party with Kurt Muller, and Kurt Muller said that he didn't leave his house when they lost. He said he got food brought to him because he would go to the grocery store with his wife, and the bag lady that's bagging the groceries would tell him, "Hey, tabarnak, man, what's wrong with you?" It was crazy. He said, Mark, I was going to get groceries, and the lady bagging my groceries was yelling at me because I played bad.
I'm not surprised.
So
when you win, it's the best place in the world.
Man,
in the world. Yeah,
okay, so Mark told me that you're actually a massive Seahawks fan.
Yes.
I'm a big NFL fan. I love football. I think it's the best sport to watch.
Me too.
It's insane, and because it's so short, it's 16 games. Yeah. You can't have a bad day. If you lose 2 or 3 matches in a row, you're done.
That's playoff.
You're out of the playoff.
Yeah,
Exactly.
By the way, Minot's very upset that you said that French word, Mark.
It's the only French word I know. I know she's gonna get mad. I know.
But actually, the thing with the Seahawks fan, it's me. I was a big Brett Favre fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was it's my favorite player of all time. And I was a Packers fan, and I was a New York Jets fan when he was there. I wasn't proud about it, but I was following him. And after that, I saw his last match when he was playing for the Vikings.
Wow.
I was in Boston. He was playing against Pat, and his last game. I didn't know that was his last game because he got his jaw broke. And after that he left the game, and after that they said okay, he's not going to come back. It's done. So I saw his last game, so I was really happy about it.
Wow.
And after that I was kind of lost. I was like, okay, I like watching football, but who I'm going to cheer for it? And my friend live in BC, and he said, "Bet you have to come to Seattle. You have to watch the stadium. You have to feel the energy, the noise." I was like, okay, let's go. And when I went there, I was like, oh, okay, that's my team. That's my new team now. I fell in love with the team, the color, the stadium.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's beautiful down there. I love it. I used to live in BC too, so we'd go down all the time. But yeah, that's the Seahawks. I mean, a lot of people, Stephen A. said yesterday that the only threat to Tom Brady this year is Russell Wilson. So I'm going with that. I'm skeptical because last year it left a really bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
But I mean, always hopeful.
Yeah,
fan.
and I don't think the relationship with Pete Carroll is really nice too. Anyway, everybody has shit with Pete Carroll. He's not an easy coach to play for.
Yeah, I think there's the friend thing, but if you get on the wrong side, sometimes it might not be the best. Hopefully they patched it up.
But you guys got one thing. I don't know why you don't talk. Listen, I'm a Raiders fan. We all know that. But listen, one thing you have that I'm jealous of that I always want, and you guys got Metcalf. like you talk about you guys talk about Russell Wilson all the time. Forget Russell Wilson. You got Metcalf. I mean, this guy. I watch this guy on YouTube just to watch the shit he does. He jumps out of swimming pools in the shallow onto the deck. He does stuff just for fun. Did you see the race he ran against the 100-meter race against the
10-second 100-meter?
And he was 3 times the size of any guy running. And they were like, all the runners, even the guy that won looked back. He's like, holy shit. That's not supposed to happen, man. No. So that's the problem. Everybody puts all their chips on Russell Wilson. And listen, can you believe after all this time that Russell Wilson hasn't won MVP of the NFL? Not one time. Even the times when you guys won the Super Bowl. And if this was the year for Russell Wilson to tell everybody, go screw yourself.
It started that way last year. It started with, he threw 5 touchdowns a game for the first 4 games.
But him and DJ Metcalf together, if they want to get even, this is the year for them. If they want to show the world, they want to show the world. But trust me, a guy like DJ Metcalf in your locker room, he motivates the group. He doesn't even have to talk. He just has to sit there. Like Carey Price, he doesn't have to say nothing.
Apparently, him and Russell vacationed together this year. They spent a lot of time together. So.
That's a good idea.
I think
It is.
That's a good idea, because I think there's some they don't talk about him enough. The NFL knows. I mean, he's the human highlight reel, and this is the year where I don't think he minds if they say, "Hey, put more pressure on him." He's the kind of guy that'll take it.
And he can handle it. I think
He can handle it.
He's got to get better because of that.
Yes.
I think so too.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
Are you still doing RD? Are you still doing stuff with RDS?
Yeah, actually, RDS bought the right of the UFC. I'm still under contract of under UFC, so I work for the UFC, but RDS bought the right of the UFC, so that's why I'm in RDS.
So well, you don't commentate all the fights.
All the fights,
but in French. In French,
yeah.
In French, exactly. Since 13 years now.
But Pat, today we're going to fix that, because your English is getting so much better. Listen, everybody watches our show. We know Uncle Dana watches the show once in a while. We know a lot of people watch our show. And you know what the crazy part is? Well, chum, you should be doing the English part too now, right? I mean, the accent, like, we got to get to that now too, right? Like, I'm not saying maybe fight nights to start, and then we get into, as we go.
Well, especially if they're close to home.
But no, who cares if they're close to home? He speaks well, he looks great, and he knows the sport, and he fought. Who else would you put inside? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have to say that now, the panel of the UFC with Paul Felder, Dominikus, DC, they're pretty good, man.
They're very good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, they are good.
They're
like
really
them.
good. But yeah, for sure. I make good money, but for sure in English, for sure it's better. Money's better.
Do you know that? Like, do you know the numbers of like how many French pay-per-views are sold? Like,
it's because it's here in French. It's a small market.
Yeah.
But every week we have close to like 50,000 people who's watching us.
Well, that's
for a UFC, for a sport like that. Here in Quebec, in French, and there's no really French Canadian superstar anymore. It's good numbers for us.
But it's you in St. Pierre, right? So it's like the whole time when I was coming up, like back in the day, it always seemed like it was George St. Pierre, Patrick Côté, George St. Pierre, Patrick Côté, George St. Pierre, Patrick Côté. Like every time. Like anywhere you would go, I would be in Montreal, people, that's all they talk about. And unfortunately, there was a lot of other really good French fighters, but people didn't talk about them like they do. It was like you and George. That's all it was the whole time. So, I mean, both you guys always conducted yourself correctly. You didn't hear dumb stuff about George. You didn't hear dumb stuff about you like other fighters. You know what I'm saying? So you guys always kind of conducted yourself very professional right from the beginning and all the way through.
Yeah, thanks, because I really appreciate that, because you're right. When I started that, I was a fan of the sport, and after that, I was a fighter. I'm still a fan of that sport, and it was my passion. So I wanted to sell that sport in a good way. That just to show to everybody that we're not just dummy who punch each other in the cage.
Correct.
We're educated. We can talk. We can dress well. We don't have tattoo in our face. It's like that. And for me, that was really important. And I'm really proud of that. I feel that I'm in a part of that business that's growing. I'm in a part of the sport where the sport is. I'm in a part of the success of that, because I did represent the sport the way I can.
But Pat, don't you think like I used to think that too? Like there was people that when you heard they were on the fight card, like when you heard that Nick Diaz was on a fight card, you watched it. When you heard that, even now Nate Diaz, you want to watch it. When you hear even like John Jones, but same thing with you. It was like you were must-see TV for MMA. It was like, oh, Patrick Côté's fighting. Whether you were on the undercard or the main card or the main event, it was like, oh shit, I'm going to watch that because there's something going to happen. Right? It didn't matter. It didn't matter what it was, but it was going to happen. And I always thought that when you were coming up doing all those things like that, but you were always wearing a suit when no one told you to wear a suit. Nobody in MMA was wearing a suit but you. Nobody else was wearing a suit.
Yeah,
People-
George and I, Jordan,
You and George.
me were
You and-
the first one.
yeah.
But you know what? I think, and I really believe that I wasn't a great athlete. You know, I wasn't a gift athlete. You know, I worked hard, not more than others, but I worked hard to get better. But I think people just recognized maybe themselves in myself because
Correct.
I was a blue collar. You know, I was
Right.
a hard worker.
Totally.
And when I started that, I wasn't good, and I wasn't a great fighter. I was a good fighter. I was, you know what I mean, you know, and I was able to get through the top with my heart, with my stubborn heart. I was very stubborn.
Stubborn.
Exact.
Yeah, stubborn.
So, and you know what? There's a lot of fighters who were way better than me, way better than me, but they will never have a title fight because
Correct.
her heart are not in the right place.
Now let's talk about that for a second. That's an interesting point because
True.
you know there is a lot of talk about setting up some sort of a union for the UFC for the fighters to you know dictate who fights when and when you get a title shot and that kind of stuff. Because right now it's what you're saying too. They do give title shots to people that earn it, yes, but also are viable.
For sure, it's an entertainment business.
Yeah.
Know what I mean? And you have to understand, the UFC is not the sport. The UFC is the organization. It's entertainment business. So they have to put the best shots possible inside the cage. The best example, it's Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards has 10 fights in a row he didn't lose.
Yeah.
But he's boring as shit.
Yeah.
So that's why he don't have a title fight.
People don't like him. People don't like him. He's just not likable. I don't know what it is. People don't like him. And
It's not
he
memorable.
don't finish fight. He's not finishing fight. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So right now it's like that, and it's like that more than like 5 years ago. Now it's really like, okay, we're gonna put the best shots possible. I don't care about if you deserve it or not.
Yeah, it's true.
We have to do it for people that's gonna buy the show.
That's an interesting angle of it too, because we've talked to a lot of people about this, and you know they want more regimented strictness with the ranking system,
like boxing, Patrick. You know,
like a boxing system.
Doesn't matter. WBC, WBO, WBA. It's who's next. It's who's next, right? And that doesn't happen as much in MMA. It's like, listen, we all know if Conor wins his next fight against Poirier, he's fighting for the title. Like it doesn't matter. But should he really fight for the title? Probably not, right? Like not really. But money wise, you have
money
Money talks.
You know who is the last one who were fighting for title and getting the main event without any trash talk, without any shit like that?
No, I don't.
George.
Yeah.
It's George. He's the last one.
Yeah.
That he was politically correct. It was and people were dying to see him doing the sport, not doing the trash talk. He's the last one.
So true.
Well,
Even before Bisping, Bisping's the only one that got a little bit out of George, like a little bit. But prior to Bisping, never. George didn't care. And you know what? You know what the crazy part is? That unfortunately, that's the MMA I fell in love with. Like I did. I love to see it. Like okay, I knew when you were fighting someone, Patrick, if you like them or didn't like them, but you didn't have to say anything. I just knew you did it. You know what I mean? Like, I just knew, like, you could talk about how you trained. You could talk about your sacrifice. And I was like, oh, I got that. You didn't have to talk shit about the guy. You didn't have to say nothing, right? No. And it seems like there's a lot of guys that are doing that now in the UFC. And some of them got their ass whooped in the process. You know,
that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. You're totally right. But you have to build a story for a fight to make money. That's like that. But this is the biggest. That's why Conor is so rich today, because he's able to back what he said. It's not easy. You can be a good trash talker, but you have to back what you said. And it's that's two different things, but you have to put together. If you're not able to back it up, you're gonna look stupid. There's a lot of fighters who try to do trash talk because they saw that it worked. People's getting more money, but you can't improvise yourself to be a good trash talker. You got it or you don't
Yes,
got it.
that's right.
That's
Okay,
right.
so if you
You're
sound
hood or you're not.
if you sound
Yeah.
bad, stop it.
Yeah. Stop it.
I guess this is a good point though, because you look at the Paul Mayweather type thing. People are buying that. It's not going to be a good fight. It's not for anything. But
And
Yes, but
it did
people
1 million
buy
buys. It did 1 million buys. Legit,
but
1 million buys.
who is the most stupid?
The people
the-
buying
the-
it.
Exactly. People were like, "Oh, that's so stupid." No. Okay, but who is
Bought it.
the stupidest in that story? Not the fighters, not the
No,
promoter.
no.
They're making millions.
Yeah.
It's if you buy it, okay, now you're stupid. But you're right. I think it's for the sport, for the boxing, I don't think it's good. I think it's putting shadow on
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah,
on the art of boxing.
yeah.
I agree.
Well, because
imagine
now like
there's
Fury
actually
fight, like
Yeah.
there's a Fury Joshua fight, and like everyone's like, oh, when's the next Logan Paul fight? Like, it, there's so many things about it. There's so many nuances, obviously, and some would argue that it's getting a whole other generation into fighting, but really it's not real fighting. It's more comedy than anything.
It's entertainment.
And that's it. And maybe that is, because I've always asked the question, why isn't UFC, why isn't MMA more like boxing? And I think maybe it's not advanced enough yet to be able to sustain a ranking system like that, like boxing.
But the
does.
thing with MMA, especially with the UFC, what they do good, it's they put the fight that fans want to see.
Yeah.
In boxing, it's not always like that.
Right.
But I understand that the process in boxing, but that's why the sport of MMA is so popular. It was like that since 15 years because you can see the fight you want. It's always the fight the fans want to see, and that's
100%.
why it's so. That's why it's so
100%.
popular.
Who do you think the next McGregor style, massive buy person would be?
I don't know. It's gonna be hard to beat. Right now, I don't think there's nobody who can do what or even close about what he did in the past. I believe that Conor is maybe still there for a couple of years. And people was going, but he's rich. He's so close to be a billionaire. Yeah, but you see how much he spent his money too. He needs money. That's the thing.
He needs to,
It's depends on your lifestyle. You can do a lot of money, but if your lifestyle it's crazy, you need money.
Well,
But
I
don't think there's one guy or even one woman right now that will be able to do that.
Pat, if you could have had any fight that you wanted in boxing or MMA, who would have it been? If you had any like the one that you said, "Oh, I wish I would have had that fight."
You mean me fighting or
yeah, like either MMA or boxing for you personally. Like if you were sitting down in front of your fire and you're sitting there and you're like, "Oh, I wish I would have I wanted to fight that guy."
Yeah, Robbie Lawler. It's and he was very close. I think that was in 2007. I think so. That was really close. And but he's one of my favorite fighter of all time. I like this guy. He don't give a shit. He's not a big talker too, and I love his style. And when I was on top in 2007, 2008, and I was very close to have a title fight before that. I think his style and my style that would be like the fight of the night for sure.
The century. Yeah.
So but I always think about that, and a lot of people ask me those questions. But guys like Carlos Condit, Matt Brown, Robbie Lawler. I would that kind of style for me that would be fun.
Yeah, it's K1 with 4-ounce gloves on. You know what I mean? Like,
That's right.
pretty much.
Talk about fighting in Mark's show, the MFC.
Oh wow,
it was fun, except the floor. That was slippery as shit.
probably one of the better fights, like epic fights, because it was with Jason McDonald. At that time, I was training Jason McDonald, and it was crazy because the fight there were so many people that came to the fight. Right? I mean, it was just everybody wanted to see McDonald versus Côté. That was it, and it was back and forth in the first round and this round, second round. And it was weird because I looked in the other corner at one point and I saw Stefan Patry was in your corner. And I was like, what the hell's Stefan doing in Côté's corner, man? Because I was like, I don't know. Does he know like had a corner or whatever? I thought it was funny, but I never forgot that when I looked over and I seen him in the corner. I was like, I started laughing.
Yeah, he wasn't doing anything. He was just there. There was Fabio. Fabio was in my corner, and I was there. But he came at that fight because he was my manager at that time.
Of course.
It was like, listen, I only have one corner man. If you want to come, bring the water, and that's
do you see Fabio? Do you see Fabio anymore?
Oh yeah, for sure. We're still close, and
awesome.
And that fight, that was for me still today is one of my biggest win of my career against Jason McDonald, because Jason and I, at that time in Canada, except George, we were like the other not generation, but the next maybe star to go in the UFC and having success. Jason went to the UFC after, but I love Jason. I always had a really big respect for him, and like I said, even today, that was a crazy fight. I submitted him in the 5th round. I was so tired. I was dead tired.
Yeah.
And I had a big cut on the high too in the 4th round, and the doctor said, okay, you can go in the 5th round, but if you receive one punch, I'm gonna stop the fight. I was like, shit. Okay, I have to do something.
Blew your
so I
hand
went
to
on
your
the
head.
ground and I choked him out there.
But that was a fight like that we had that when the fight was over, I remember this like yesterday. I remember you winning the fight, and I remember we walked upstairs at the Shaw Conference Center, and Jason collapsed. Like he collapsed, and he was crying, like he was so devastated. And I'd never seen him like that ever, right? And I looked at him and I said, Jason, now I know for sure you're going to go to the UFC. And he's looked at me and he said, Mark, how do you tell? I said, because you fought a guy tonight that's going to go far in the UFC. And you were this close.
Oh,
and he looked at me and he thought I was crazy, and I said, no, we're going to go to the UFC. It's just going to take a little bit longer. And I said, Patrick's going to go to the UFC and you're going to see. And he couldn't see it at that time. You know what I mean? Because it was just the fight was so crazy, Jesse. The place was packed. I mean, packed. I mean, it was insane. People were standing and it was sweaty and it was crazy. And Patrick to submit Jason at that time, not knock him out. People thought that Patrick would knock. People thought, oh, Patrick's going to knock him out if he's going to win the fight, and Jason's going to win by submission. And then he won by rear naked choke, and the place just went mental. Like by the end, even Jason's fans were fans of Patrick Côté. So
I think that was they were a fan of the fight. The fight was so crazy, and even if it's not your fighter who's win the fight, you can't be like, oh, motherfucker, you won it. No, the fight was so crazy. So I think everybody was happy about maybe not about my win, but about the fight, about the result of the fight.
But it's funny because when we were in the UFC after, people all the time would come up to me and say, like, if you were fighting on a card or the same card or whatever the case may be, people are like, oh man, I love that Côté guy. These are Jason's fans, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh yeah, because they remembered the fight. And sometimes that's more important than anything to anybody is when they see people actually fight. This wasn't MMA anymore. This was a fight. Okay.
That was back and forth. That was crazy.
Yeah. This was like people say it wasn't an MMA fight. I'm like, it was for the first 3 rounds, but 4 and 5 was it was a fight. Like someone took someone's money and they were trying to go. You know what I mean? Like that's what it looked like to me, man. It was crazy. It was crazy.
So
that was a fun fight, but that was exhausting fight. I can understand that he collapsed at the after because we were so dead tired. And it took me like almost 20 minutes to get out of the ring. I wasn't able to walk. I was so tired. I wasn't able to walk. Wait a second, man.
How aware are you that in the fight, if it's a good fight or if it's an entertaining fight, and do you care about that in the midst of it?
If me, I was. What the question? Sorry.
Like, do you care if it's entertaining in the middle of a fight, or are you just trying to go and shut that thing down in the first as quick as you can?
Oh no, you want, if you can win in 10 seconds, you win in 10 seconds. For sure. If you're not hurt or something after a fight, that's a good night. That's a really good night. But you know what? It's because of my style. That was all the time war.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
what I
Yeah,
mean. Yeah.
yeah.
that was all the time because I wasn't a technician. I wasn't, you know, a crazy BJJ guy at that time, and for the entire my career, I was a brawler with kind of good skills. So that was my style. I went there and
You think
I
you would have
wanted to
fought
show my
more?
feet.
You think you would have fought more if it wasn't for the injuries? You think you would have stayed like an extra year or two?
No,
No,
Really?
no,
no.
That was it. That you
no.
just knew.
Yeah. In 2007, when I took my retirement, I knew that was my last fight against Thiago Alves. I knew it before. I took that decision 2 months before, and I didn't say that to anybody. Nobody, even my wife, didn't know.
Wow,
And
wow.
because I wanted to be selfish for my career. I wanted to live
I
that
like that.
moment, you know, just for myself. You know, knowing that that will be my last fight, my last weight cut, my last fight week, my last entrance, my last Bruce Buffer is saying my name. I didn't want nobody to share those moments with me
Wow.
because I knew it that will be the last time that I will live that. So the entire process of the fight week and the fight, I I I lived knowing that it was the last time. Even with a win, it's not, I didn't take my retirement because of the loss.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
with the win, it would be that was my last
Because
fight.
because you were re-signed with the UFC, right?
Yeah.
And you still retired.
Yeah. For listen, when I fought Donald Cerrone, that was kind of the fight that showed me that if I was able still to compete at that level, or that was time for me to get out. And unfortunately, that was a very bad night for me. He got the win. That was in Ottawa too. That was a bad night. And after that, I was like, okay, I know now that
It
I'm
went
not
in your head. It was going in your head.
yeah, I was like, now I know I'm not gonna have another run for the title. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do one more fight for myself, just enjoying the last everything,
The process.
the process.
Yeah.
Exactly. And in my last two fights, I got punched more than my last 15 years.
Wow.
And and
Thiago Alves?
when I fought Tego Alves, my daughter was born, and you know I never been knocked down in my life, and for me that was really really important that there's no image of myself on the floor, out cold, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
struggling. So
Wow.
that doesn't exist. So now I have a little boy at 9 months old. My kids, when they're gonna have like 10, 12, 15 years old, they will want to know what I was doing before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They will go to Google, they will go to YouTube. It doesn't exist the image of myself knockout on the ground. And for me, that
Wow.
was really, really important that my kids will never see that.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's I mean
That's
that's
awesome.
pretty incredible actually.
Yeah.
So because a lot of fighters don't know that, they don't have that
No, I
self-awareness.
know.
No, they don't.
You know, I have the privilege to take my retirement in my own term. And
Mm.
in that sport, that's a big privilege.
And a
because I was-
rarity. It's
in a
rare.
rarity. And because I was smart about what I was doing in my career. I was smart. I was with the money I did in my career. I was smart by using UFC outside the cage to make business because those three letters are very, very powerful.
They
Yeah.
are.
And when I took my retirement, I was like, good. I'm good. I'm all set. I will not miss fighting.
Wow.
Wow.
Man, that's I mean honestly you should be teaching young fighters this very fact because you'd save a lot of people some things. Like Cowboy.
Hey, since,
I mean
since
Cowboy
day one,
like
yeah. Since
Cowboy, I
day
mean he
one-
should have been done.
I know, and many more other fighters. But since day one, my biggest fear was to do the fight I wasn't supposed to do. Since day one, I said to everybody, I said, listen, I don't want to do the fight I'm not supposed to. And even when I lost my last two fights, but today people's talking to me about my career and not my last two fights
Not at
that
all.
I lost.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Good point.
for
No.
me, because of that, I said, okay, I did it. I left with in a smart way and when the time was right.
That's incredible actually.
Fantastic.
And now you have I mean obviously still I mean the UFC has done you've done very well with the UFC because now commentating as well. So, you know, with acting and commentating, you know, how do you mix the family life? How does Patrick the husband and the dad find time for that?
Yeah, I'm a family man. I'm a dad that is very I'm very present. I didn't have dad myself.
Mm,
I got raised by my mother, only my mother. So for me, it's very very important to be there, to be present,
mm,
100%. And I'm super busy, but like everybody knows, I was in the army before. I served in Bosnia in 2002. I can be comfortable under a tree. I don't need you know the what I have. I do that because for my family. I do that for my kids. I do that for to them to be good, to have a nice future. I don't want them to struggle like I did when I was young.
mm.
Did you start your martial arts career in the military?
Yes, not because of the military,
No,
but
but
when I was.
it
Yeah,
was there at that time, right? And you were really young when you started. Is that not correct?
I was 21. Yeah,
So you did do a tour in Bosnia.
yeah,
Wow. Wow.
yeah. And 22 years old. We went in Bosnia in 2002 for 6 months with
Hmm.
it's OTAN, NATO. So we went there with Green Beret. We're ready to fight, but the war wasn't there anymore. So, but that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a crazy life experience, and yeah, it's good. I don't regret my time in the army. I don't want to go. I don't want to go back, but I don't regret my time in the army.
Yeah.
Would you
That's
say that
awesome.
some of the regiment from that helped you in your future with MMA?
I think the discipline,
Yeah.
even if I don't like discipline. I don't like people telling me what to do. But
More choice
I
there.
think in the army, when I left in 2004, that was the main reason. I was tired of the hierarchic mode. I was tired of cutting my hair at short like that. And for me, I was like, I will not run faster because my hair is short like that. But it's the army. I can't
It's the way it
complain.
is. Yeah.
It's the way it is. But getting the discipline, I think, did help me when I start taking my career seriously. Training,
Mm.
dieting, eating well, taking care of myself, uh, being living a real athlete life. You have to be disciplined.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't
Definitely.
cut corners in that sport.
No.
No.
Well, Patrick, I mean, again, I think when people hear when I heard like, oh, Patrick Côté, really? That was when we heard you were coming. We were super excited about that. So we honestly just thank you for spending time with us out of your busy schedule and then sharing some of the keys to your life, because I think that's what's really important with your story is that, hey, you did it and you did it on your terms, and you learned some amazing life lessons, and now you're teaching them along the way, which is amazing. So thank you for doing that. We really look forward to what's next for you. We hope we can see you on a fight night in English too, because
Yes.
Mark and I don't
We'll
understand
see.
French
We'll see.
except for
Maybe it's gonna help. Maybe it's gonna
Yeah.
help.
Yeah. We're gonna help. We're gonna help. We're gonna help.
But I thank you guys, and like I said in my speaking, it's before getting an expert, everybody were a rookie before, at the beginning. So you have to start somewhere, and I
mm,
think I'm the best example that if you want to do it, you can do it. It's not because you don't have a lot of skills, not because you're not a gift athlete that you can't do what you want. If you find your passion, you put all the work in there, it's gonna work.
Awesome.
thanks so much for joining us tonight. Everybody, Patrick Côté, find him on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, find him all the places and follow him tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for being on,
Thank
Pat.
you, guys.
All right. See you later.
See you guys.
Patrick Côté, everybody. Hey.
Awesome. I mean, hey, that's what a good guy.
Class act, man. I'm telling you. Like,
Absolutely.
right from the beginning, though, Jesse, he was the guy that, like, when he showed up, he was wearing a suit.
Yeah,
He
that's
was
cool.
he was the only fighter I saw at that time. Don't forget, I was here at the beginning, right? He was the only one. Everybody's wearing tap out
Well, nobody
shirts.
owned a suit.
No one owned a suit. No one owned a suit, bro. It was crazy. He actually wore a suit, and you could tell he was from Montreal because it was custom tailored correctly. He looked like guys look like he wore a suit where he looked like guys look like now. And that was back
Yeah.
that was back in
Well,
the day, right?
I think, and honestly, Canada has that culture. You think about hockey, that was part of the thing. When you're 13 years old, you have to dress up at school because you got a hockey game that day. That's
right.
how it
Yep.
is. Like,
Yep.
you're taught that from a young age. This is what you do. And I really appreciate it. I mean, I think obviously now Connor's taken that to the nth degree, but because they dress up and it looks so cool when you wander in.
I agree.
I think it's awesome.
I do too. I think,
and again, I get some guys that don't want to do that and they don't feel they can pull it off. Fine, whatever. But I do really like when they class it up and come in suited up.
We can agree that basically in hockey, easily has the best dressed people in sport. Like,
because it's consistent, right? Like everybody is suited up. You don't have a choice. It's part of the team.
It's not even close, guys. We'll run a poll on our Facebook page, but
because there's NFL guys that do dress well, but then there's a lot that do not. Bill Belichick.
Yeah, but listen, bucket hat and sweatpants is not dress attire going to the game. You know what I mean? But NHL, everybody's wearing custom suits. They look like $1 million. Well, they look like about 10 million.
Yeah.
But that's the best dressed sport on the planet. Maybe high level soccer. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because they usually will too.
They do too, right? And those guys are the Tom Ford crew over there. So, so
those Ronaldo suits aren't cheap.
Yeah. So, but I'm saying there's a split between soccer and NHL hockey.
Well, let's talk about soccer. Euros going on.
Let's not talk about soccer.
I know you had a tough loss, but again, I'm
not saying a word.
I think Croatia is a very defensive team, and they lack a little bit up front. In England, and I think they contained England very well. England got one good playoff really for the whole game. And
listen, we got to stop playing like Croatia has to stop playing like we're a country of 4 million people. Okay, that's what we have to stop doing, because the last World Cup we came in second.
Yeah.
Prior to that, we came in third in another World Cup in the last 10 years.
Yeah, top four. Yeah,
top four. And then this year, people say, well, we don't have the same team. That doesn't matter, because you see with countries like France, you see with countries like Spain, you see like countries like that. What do they do, Jesse? It seems like, yes, but you have a culture that's in place.
And again, but you got to.
So France is the best example. Yeah. France, 2 or 3, 4 guys leave. They replace them with guys that are 18, 19 years old. But for some reason, those 18 and 19-year-old guys go, I'm playing for France now.
Yeah.
And that means something. So they play with that mentality. When I watched Croatia lose to England 1-0, I went back to sleep because the game was on at 6:30. I went back to sleep. I couldn't sleep for 3 hours because I was so pissed off watching Croatia play, because okay, let's use the excuse there's only 4 million people. Let's use the excuse about this and this and that. But you know what? It's over. There's no more excuses. We're a country could be a soccer powerhouse, but we consistently go, well, we don't have this player now. We don't have this player now. Well, the young kids should start looking at people like countries like France and other countries like that. They go, doesn't matter. 2 guys down, 2 new guys come in, and it's like they didn't miss a beat to this Rolls Royce that they've created in soccer, where they go, it doesn't matter.
But yeah, I agree what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying, right?
The issue is that there is only 4 million people. It is harder. Because you do have a lesser pool to pull from. So,
well, it's funny because I was watching TSN and I almost want to flush that sports show down the toilet because it's making me sick to my stomach. I'm hearing about Harry Kane for about 3 weeks prior. Harry Kane's won nothing. Hey, all you English fans out there, let me know what Harry Kane's ever won on international stage. You know what the answer is? 0. Harry Kane's won nothing. Okay, literally 2.5 years ago, Modric won player of the universe. You know what I mean? And no, not in the tournament.
The Ballon d'Or. Yeah.
Yes. It's okay. He won that. Not one mention on TSN that he won that. One mention about Croatia coming second in the World Cup. No problem. We lose to England and everybody's talking about Harry Kane. Harry Kane didn't even play the whole game. They had to take him out 3 quarters because he was gassed.
Yeah.
Okay. Harry Kane's getting older now. Okay. Yeah. Is Harry Kane a soccer player? Yes. But there's literally
he's been traditionally not great internationally.
That's right. And that's what I'm saying. So there's literally 40 players ahead of Harry Kane in international soccer right now that are far better.
My team starts tomorrow, France.
Yeah.
And it's a tough game. It's Germany. I mean, it isn't, it's not the Germany of old, but it is still Germany.
Yeah, I agree. I saw the opening round for them, and I'm like, really?
It's tough. It's a tough group.
Yeah, because it is a tough group. But France plays a game of soccer that's very exciting to watch, and I'm
so much talent.
listen, I'm a fan of France for the sole purpose of my favorite city in the world is Paris, France. And I love when I go next time, I'm going to see what's it called play? PSG. I'm going to go see them play because I love the culture, but the thing I respect about France is you'll see this year again too. They'll be close to the end because they'll replace people that, oh, he doesn't play there anymore. He doesn't play. No, who's the kid that replaced him? Some kid that bought into the culture of playing for France. And he said, oh my God, I'm playing for France. And that's what it has to become. Same with Portugal. When you get to Portugal, Portugal's always in there.
Yeah,
Why?
Portugal, it is crazy because traditionally don't have a lot of people either. I mean, they have Ronaldo, but he's definitely getting older, but they do have that. They're always in the mix.
And why? Because they have the younger guys that come up that believed in the soccer culture. Listen, I would love to crap on Italy right now, but because they didn't make the last World Cup.
I know,
and
but they look pretty good right now.
And they look great. Yeah. You know why? Sometimes it takes one thing that people don't understand about soccer is mass suffering is involved in soccer.
Well, I think the Dutch are feeling that too.
Exactly.
And again, they go up 2-0 and they get tied on in the last 8 minutes, then squeak one out. But I think that's one of the things. I think the Dutch actually could be good. It's just it's
but people don't understand in soccer they're suffering. There's lots of when people said when Vegas made the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Stanley Cup final, and people are like, oh, I hope Vegas wins in their first year, right. and I was like, I hope they get demolished. And people are like, why? I go, listen, it's professional sports is suffering. Okay.
Yeah.
Ask Toronto Maple Leaf fans what being a listen, and I'm not making fun of Leaf fans right now at all. Today. Listen, but I'm not making fun of Leaf fans right now. I'm letting people know I hate the Leafs, but I'm not making fun of Leaf fans because can you imagine being a Leaf fan 53 years and not winning a Stanley Cup and you're still a fan? I got respect for that at least. No. I got respect for the fact that you understand the suffer. But one day when Toronto does win the Stanley Cup, can you imagine the party?
Oh,
can you imagine the pandemonium that'll go on? And I respect that. I might hate the Leafs, but I actually respect the fans of the Toronto Maple Leafs, even though they're delusional. I do respect them in the fact that I respect the fact that
the sticking with it for that long.
It's something, Jesse, and that's what being a fan is. Now you take
it is this.
You take international soccer to this level. And in a million years, I would never get up at 4:00 in the morning to watch a hockey game. I would never get up at 5:00 in the morning, 6:00 in the morning to watch a hockey game. I don't care who was playing. I would never get up to watch a fight at 6:00 in the morning. I would never get up to watch a boxing match at 6:00 in the morning. I would never get up to watch anything at 6 in the morning. The only thing in the world I would ever get up for at 6:00 in the morning is to watch Croatia play soccer.
Wow.
So get that. That's the level of intensity that's involved right now in this level of soccer. And this is how crazy people get involved in soccer.
It's an amazing tournament. And
it is.
It's second to the World Cup, but very lightly second.
I agree, Jesse.
I would actually maybe they're tied for first because it's that good this tournament.
I totally agree because you have so many rock stars.
Every team is awesome in Europe.
And there's so many rock stars. I was looking at the Polish team. I was looking at the Slovakian team. I was looking at Ukraine. I was looking at Italy. I was looking at all these teams. I'm like, everybody's got rock stars on their team now. You know what I mean? Like this guy plays for PSG. This guy plays for Roma. This guy plays for Manchester United, and he's playing on Poland. And
it's incredible.
It's incredible to watch.
It is.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot more enjoyable to watch when your team wins.
Yeah,
so I was having a rough day on Sunday. Let's put it that way. Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible.
Well, everybody, thanks again for tuning in. Thank you, Patrick Côté, so much for joining us tonight.
He's us. Listen, just let's give Patrick Côté more props. Let's give Patrick Côté. Let's get him on English-speaking UFC shows. I don't know why he's not. I mean, the guy looks like a GQ model. He was a great fighter, and he can speak English and French. So. He's a perfect guy that can move into a slot once in a while. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like I tell everybody, Frank Trigg should be referee more in the UFC. He's not. Why not? Who knows why not? But I say these things all the time. Frank Trigg should referee more in the UFC because he's that good. I'm trying to make the product better.
Mano wants you to go watch the Habs game.
at 7 it starts, no?
Oh, I thought she said let's go. It starts soon.
Oh, it starts soon, yeah. And I want, and listen, I'll go on record too. I want the Habs to kill Vegas. I want them to win in 6. I want Montreal to go to the Stanley Cup final. I want a Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup right now.
The last Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah. But Oiler fans are chirping like, and once again, don't get me started on that, because Oiler fans are chirping like they don't need to change much in their house, and that's the offensive part.
Yeah.
I'm not dogging
Because
Oiler
Montreal
fans.
knows how to play defense. Team
Correct.
Their D is good. I mean, Shea Weber, the guy just doesn't. He's awesome. But team wise, they play defensively and they're good.
But what I'm saying is, why people don't understand, like the Oiler fans are saying like they don't have to change much, and you don't hear too much rumblings of things being changed. And I think you don't think things should be changed. You think you got a shot next year if you don't change a bunch of things. You got to change things, guys. And if you don't think that, you're dumb. You're just dumb. What else we got going on? We got Crystal Glass.
I was just gonna say
Crystal Glass for all
your glass needs. Call 310 Glass. Crystal Glass.
They're so good.
Yeah.
They have locations in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. 55
everywhere you go. There's
55 locations to serve you better. Home, auto, unit, commercial, everything. Crystal Glass. crystalglass.ca.
We got a big fight coming up now.
Fight TV.
Fight TV.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna move this here. Oops, I shouldn't move that. Sorry if I messed up your
Talk about boxing. I can't talk. I love boxing.
So this fight that we've talked about and promoted, it was supposed to be this weekend, but because they're releasing, we're allowed to start doing things in public again. It's actually been pushed back to September because we're gonna have fans there, which is awesome.
Yes.
We're jacked about that.
Can you imagine the Me and Jesse podcast? We'll be commentating the actual boxing event with live fans at the event.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great show, and it's worth it. All you do is download the Fight TV app on your phone or your TV or whatever, and you go to future or upcoming events, and you'll see it right there. You'll see the same image that's on the screen, and you just purchase that thing, and you can hear us live. It'll be awesome. I know that everyone here is going to buy it when watching us live, so that's coming up in September. We'll let you know when that the actual date of that when that comes too. Until next time.
But who's on the show next week?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Next
Come
week.
on, where are you going? What's the rush?
Well, there's
What's
a
the
Montreal
rush?
game. There's a Habs game. Dan Hardy.
Yeah.
Dan Hardy's on the show next week. It's a big deal. And so Dan Hardy,
It's a big deal.
English fighter, fired from the UFC at one point.
Makes no sense. Makes no sense
At all.
No sense.
I hope we'll get some insight on that a little more.
I hope so too.
And then he also has big show on YouTube too. So it's really cool. And Mark and I love English fighters. There's something about English fighters.
Love.
It's
boxing.
Awesome. The English bravado in boxing.
And MMA, the best.
It is awesome. And Irish too. I do love Irish too.
Me too.
And not just because of Connor, but just because it's Irish. And you're like, hey, you piss in my beer and I'll piss in your eye. And
Totally.
And so I love that. And so Dan Hardy's on the show next week. That'll be really cool.
And you know what's crazy? I told him we would do it like the show because it's 8 hours, 7 hours different.
I was gonna say.
And he says, "Forget about it. I'm a pro, Mark. Let's go. I'll drink an espresso. Let's roll, man." And Dan Hardy's awesome. So we got him on the show next week. Super excited about that.
That's exciting as well.
Yeah.
F1 race coming up this weekend. No, I can't remember where it is. Oh, because they changed the schedule on me. That's good. But the Euros month long. France plays tomorrow. I think the end of the first game. I think everyone will be played tomorrow. One game.
Yes.
And then
tomorrow. Yes.
Tomorrow after tomorrow. And so that's exciting too. Allons-y. And yeah, I think we covered it all.
Go Habs.
Go Habs.
Go Habs.
Take it to the house.
Yes. Let's go.
Until next time, that's Mark Pavelich. I'm Jesse Martineau. This has been the Me and Jesse podcast. Thanks so much once again, Patrick Côté. And we'll see you next week when we're joined by none other than Dan Hardy, all the way from the UK. See you next time, everybody.
Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/meandjesse. Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/meandjesse.